Good evening. One of the things, I felt in a very video making mood, and right now it's what, 2:37 in the morning. I went to Sharky's again, and being there this time kind of put me in a very sherry mood. And I wanted to make a video about something. So I'm thinking like, Taylor, what are you going to talk about? And I wanted to talk about something that's been weighing heavily on my mind recently. And that is, what is self-worth? What defines how much you are worth as a person? What makes you worth something? How do you define what you deserve as a person? Or like, hey, I deserve to be valued for my time or be valued for my work. I know that I'm good at fill in the blank, so I deserve this and this for fill in the blank. Getting to the place where you feel comfortable demanding that kind of compensation or demanding anything for anything that you do is a really tough place for me to get to. It's really hard for me to determine how you determine what you deserve. Growing up in the type of household that I did, it wasn't a hard childhood, it wasn't bad parents. I would say it's bad doctrine. Because my sister and I were my parents' first batch of kids, if you will. Then 10 years later, they decided to have 2 more, and with them, I don't know what that was, and with them, it was a lot more relaxed. But during the time of my sister and I, we were about 3 years apart, so we're pretty much right there. We were going to this church that taught us that because we are sinners, all we deserve is death, and because of Christ's sacrifice on the cross, and blah blah blah, we are made worthy, but only because of that. So it was instilled in me at an early age that we don't deserve anything except death, except to die because we're a human. Now, obviously I don't agree with that doctrine. I think that is bullshit, to be totally honest. But in my developmental years, it had a huge impact on... My camera battery is dying. It's blinking red at me right now, so if it cuts off mid-video, it is what it is. Whatever. This isn't going on the official channel anyway, so fuck it. But we were told that by ourselves, just us, we were nothing. And now that I think back on how they told us that, it was like, you know, Taylor, by himself, is worth nothing. Totally worthless. But with the power of Christ and the sacrifice of Jesus on the cross and yada yada, we are saved by grace through faith and all this other stuff. Now, for those of you who are Christians, I do not mean to demean what you choose to believe. That's not the point of this entire thing. But it's rather to illustrate how I got to this point of not really knowing, what does Taylor deserve? What does anyone, like, what does fill in the blank deserve as a person? It made it very hard to determine what was deserved and what we as people are worth, and what we have the right to expect or even demand And it's been something that I've really struggled with my entire life. And I know that I'm not the only person who was raised in that way, to downplay your value as a human being without some external deity or higher power to validate you and make your life worth living. Like, really? Like, that's the type of teachings that I received growing up when I was little. One of my last jobs, I was talking to a friend of mine who was very good. Spencer was his name. Spencer, shout out if you ever see this video, and you probably won't, but if you do, thank you. He kind of reinforced something that I had already started to play around with as far as the concept. And it's like, what makes somebody confident? What makes them worthwhile? And he kind of confirmed what I was, excuse me, he kind of confirmed what I had begun to understand. And that's, if you walk into a place, whatever place that may be, and assume and act like everything that comes out of your mouth is totally fine, awesome even, the way you look is pimpin', the way you act, everything is exactly the way it's supposed to be. Everything that comes out of your mouth, or every way that you act is awesome. Awesome. That is what makes it worthwhile. So the idea is kind of like the law of state transference, where, if you walk up to someone and you're feeling yourself, it's like if someone came up to you and they were operating under the assumption that everything that comes out of their mouth, everything that they do is cool, is awesome, then that's gonna rub off on you. It's going to bleed through and then be absorbed in some way. And you're gonna be like, wow, this guy's got it going on. This guy knows what's up. This guy's totally comfortable with himself, which makes whatever he's doing cool or worthwhile or awesome. That forces you to put a lot of faith in yourself. And that's something that I have a really hard time doing. Because it's like, who gave me permission to act like everything I do is badass? Who made it okay for me to assume, even if just to me, that whatever I do is awesome? I've kind of wrestled back and forth with that whole issue, because on one hand I'm like, no, who am I to say that I'm worth anything that I say I'm worth? And by that very statement, it's like, where are the, what's the words? Who designs the criteria? And if I try to design that criteria and I meet it, who says that's considered valid? Who says that that has any kind of authority or weight whatsoever? So it's like, it's kind of this big back and forth thing. And on one hand, I completely agree with the whole law of state transference, and it all depends on how you present yourself, on how you feel about you when you present it to anybody, to fill in the blank, whether it be a girl or a guy or a group of people or even an entire venue. You walk in there like you own the place, then chances are things will work out better for you than if you walk in like, you know, I hope nobody disapproves of me. Like, I hope that you know what I mean? There's a difference. And that's kind of what I wanted to share and kind of get out and voice. Because I felt like it. I hope it's been of some insight or another. Because I really don't have anything else to add. But keep assuming the position of confidence, and eventually you'll start to believe it, because if you tell yourself something long enough, you will begin to believe it. And stay beaming.